So I just wanted to, John Spencer here, wanted to ramble on another Amulet talk. This one just freestyle, as usual. Was just pondering and thinking about how I myself would know this, and wondering if, because I'm a trader and extreme student of amulets, so I'm constantly involved in it, but I often wonder as I browse through and look through the years, year by year, and see what's moving, see what people are wearing, see what the monks make and the masters make, and how I noticed over the years that each year you would see many different temples and masters all making similar kinds of amulets. And at first I thought this was a copycat thing, that the 2 or 3 or half a dozen best masters would make their original amulets, and all the rest of the smaller temples and lesser masters or lesser famous masters would then, or those with less ideas, would then copy the style. And I wonder if the average user or collector or devotee who is not a trader like me and not so constantly involved in it all day, every day, have also noticed that, this year I noticed everybody's, you see a lot of Prat Rahu editions coming out, or this year you see a lot of Garuda, or a lot of Hanuman, or Nangwak, and from year to year you see a predominance of certain kinds of amulets. And of course there is a copycat effect, as there is in everything, in every art, in every science, in every trade, in every hobby, in every sport, every whatever it's creative, even magical sciences like this. So of course there's a copycat aspect, but I realized through time, as my understanding became deeper, that there's much more to this. And as I began to study the Tamra Sayawed and to study up all of the amulets and how they were made, and began to teach myself and to learn from who I could about how to make amulets, I realized that actually the Rug, the astrological alignments and the dates, would say which deity or which kind of wicha or amulet is needed in that particular time, and so that the makers and the monks and the holders of the wicha would decide and look at the astrological alignments and decide that this year it's important to use this amulet or that amulet. So this year, for example, in 2018, you might see a lot of Garuda amulets coming out, amongst other things. But you definitely will see a lot of Garuda amulets. And there's a reason for that, which is more than just copycat. The reason for that is that the monks and the masters have looked into the astrological alignments and the influences and to use this to be in line with what is needed for this year. But so I could go through a list of various things you might see. You will also see Hanuman quite a bit this year, but you definitely see a lot of Garuda. If we went into Krung Rang, talismanics, that's usually, they also have their own movements. But if we're talking about pure Buddhist amulets, you definitely see a lot of Garuda this year. You will also see quite some tiger amulets, and last year we'll have also seen some tiger amulets. Of course, if anything's a year like Year of the Dog, a Year of the Tiger, Year of the Ox, or whatever, you will then see animals like that, or animal deities being used. In the Year of the Pig, you will see wild boar amulets and stuff. There's also an analogy with that. But this year, if you were to ask me, and it's one thing you might have noticed if you follow my blogs and look in my amulet stores, you will see that I have been, I actually call this, I'm planning a blog post on this, which I intend to call The Return of Khun Phaen, because Garuda is definitely one of the amulets to Pusha for this year, but for me, I am seeking, collecting, and presenting a lot of Khun Paen amulets from various masters. The next series I will start to collect and document and explain and present will be the Bangkrang, called Bangkrang, Wat Bangkrang, Wat Chai Mongkon. But lately I've been adding Khun Paen from Luang Pu Tim, Isariko, and Khun Paen from Luang Pu Sin, and various Khun Paen from other masters like Luang Pu Panya, because in my own experience, for luck bringing and increasing one's prosperity and one's success, and to make life easier, make things roll, make things flow, one would only recommend what one has the best experience with oneself. And so I think Khun Paen is a nice medium somewhere between. Some people want a little bit more magic power than just straight pure Buddhist, but a Khun Paen is actually in principle Buddhist, but it has leanings towards this more powerful, fast-acting effects of sayasat, of sorcery. There's also beautiful Buddhist arts, but just for the effects, for noticeable effects, speaking from personal experience, I would say this year Khun Paen amulets, of whichever your chosen master or price range, doesn't matter. You can start with a low price range, can be just as good as a very, very expensive one, that doesn't matter. Faith can move mountains, and what matters is that when you put that around your neck, that it brings you peace and lessens your suffering in whatever way. And if it saves your life with a miracle, even better. But at least when you put that over your neck and walk out of the door, if it makes you feel more confident and have less fear and more peace in your mind, well, it's already doing its job, isn't it? And they're beautiful things to wear too. So that's on the lowest possible level. Do you get something back out of it? Of course you do. But I've been experiencing a lot more results with Khun Paen amulets. So that's what I would say. And just to talk about how, if you notice that there seem to be a lot of repeat of the same kind of amulet each year from different temples, to know it's not just a copycat effect. There is an actual reason that is magical and astrological and very specifically studied and chosen to choose which deities and which kind of amulets are distributed each year. But from me, you won't hear as much Garuda as you will hear Khun Paen in 2018. So that's what I would recommend, definitely, is Khun Paen. It doesn't have to be Luang Pu Tim or from Bangkrang, which are expensive. It can also be from lesser priced masters. There are many great Khun Paen. They don't have to be expensive, but definitely worth collection and definitely worth wearing and busha. So, the Return of Khun Phaen for 2018. And that was just a light-hearted amulet talk from my series of podcasts for Amulets TV and the Buddha Magic Project. Ajahn Spencer signing off.